You gotta be a little bit deeper.
What the fuck, dude? What the fuck?
The history. I had been running the Dark Tangent system. That was the name of my bulletin board systems. The bulletin board was known around the world. We were on international FIDO networks. And in one of those networks, called PlatinumNet out of Canada, was going away. He was shutting it down. I was the biggest node, I had the most users, and I distributed to the United States. And he wanted to throw a party, going away party, for all of his PlatinumNet users. But he didn't want to do it in Canada, and all of his users were in the States. And so we were talking. He says, like, well, you should do it. We should work together. And I said, great, let's do it in Vegas. And that makes the most sense, cheap airfare. And he said, sounds good. And I mean, this happened over the course of less than a week. It was really brief. And then all of a sudden, he disappeared, PlatinumNet went down. And all these years, 20 years later, I've never heard from the guy again. I can't even remember his name, it's been so long. So when that disappeared, I had already started planning to do this going away party for PlatinumNet. So instead, I invited all my networks, and it went from being a going away party to a party. There was like HoHoCon, there was an XCon, there was a PumpCon, SummerCon, but there was no real West Coast con. So we figured, okay. So it ended up being DEF CON.
You know, the first one, there was a flyer that went out, and that kind of circulated around on some of the sites, and I think that's how I came across it initially.
I'm assuming it was because of a book I wrote, or maybe my congressional testimony, I don't know, but somehow he had contacted me to come out and speak.
I actually didn't want to go to the first DEF CON. I did not want to go to the first DEF CON. A number of my friends were going, they were trying to get me to go, they kept telling me it was going to be fun, and I kept thinking to myself, I'd never been to Las Vegas before. And, I used to go to BBS user meets, and, well, a lot of them were pretty lame. And I thought to myself, okay, this is just going to be a BBS user meet in Vegas.
Contacted me somehow, said, you want to come out to Vegas? I said, I don't like Vegas. Come out and speak, and there's a bunch of people, Phil Zimmerman and a couple other folks, and DEF CON 1.
And I had a blast. I had so much fun.
It felt that we were part of something that was really kind of legitimized because there was this event around it. It wasn't just random people that you might have known or heard, or it wasn't somebody on the in the phone freak world. It wasn't somebody on the end of a toll-free loop around that you called at midnight and, hey, who's there?
So I ended up meeting a lot of people, some of whom I'm still friends with to this day. Out of all of that.
And I remember after the first DEF CON was over, and I was back home and I was decompressing, and somebody wrote me on UUCP in my email, wrote me an email and said, hey, that was great. When are you doing it again? And until I'd gotten that email, I'd never thought of doing it again. And then I thought, I could probably make this better. I could change this, and then that started it. That was all game over from there. It was every year, what can I make better? What went wrong? How do I fix it? And that geek sort of fix it mentality kicks in, and you're always trying to improve it. So it's sort of like this challenge you'll never solve, but you keep wanting to make it better.
If people missed a few years, their differences between their experiences is going to be pretty radically different. DEF CON 1 was around 100 people, and we expect roughly 15,000 for DEF CON 20.
We work nonstop. I haven't seen 4th of July in like 7 years.
It's crazy that DEF CON, as you can label it as a hobby, takes so much time because it seems like pretty much from the moment DEF CON ends until the time that we're spinning it up again, we're busy.
You know, technically I retired 2 years ago, but I can't give it up because it's such a part of me. I'm giving back to the same culture that spawned me.
DEF CON for the last 10 years especially has been a very big part of my life. It consumes most of my free time. DEF CON starts for me the day after DEF CON is over for the next year.
It's going to be amazing. We have so many surprises planned for the attendees. It's going to be remarkable. This is going to be a really, really special year. If you're sleeping, you're doing it wrong.
A lot of people who are hardcore DEF CON attendees or staff, they negotiate when they change jobs. That's fine, everything's good, but I need to take 2 weeks off. I never thought that my party would be a job employment prerequisite.
I am not kidding. I am expecting another well-orchestrated, well-oiled machine coming together and producing this amazing gathering of geeks. No kidding. It's what we do. We come together and we do the hell out of it. And I expect it to happen this year.
There's absolutely a difference between driving and flying.
When Utah Group, for example, used to go down to DEF CON years and years and years ago, there was a whole process where basically we gathered at this restaurant called D's, or like we called it Freaky D's, at like 2 a.m. And basically, 20, 30 of us pile into the restaurant, and we'd have our caravan of cars all set together, and that was our group of people.
There are some hijinks that I can't even imagine mentioning on a documentary that can happen on a long 9-hour drive from the Denver area to Las Vegas.
When you're driving, to get there, especially from the West Coast, you have to drive through the middle of fucking nowhere.
And it certainly adds to the experience when you roll in and it's just after sunrise or it's just about sunset, or you really have no idea what time it is, and there's Sin City, and of course you're playing Viva Las Vegas by the Dead Kennedys or something like that, and it does add to the experience, I think.
Great job. Actually, here comes the hack bus now, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, great timing.
It kind of blows my mind that everyone's so excited about going to a barbecue 6 miles away from the con that they have to rent a taxi for or go to the grocery store and get food for. I don't know, I just feel like the barbecue is this misfit love child of DEF CON, because everyone's like, hey, there's this thing that happens over there and they're grilling alligator and elk and all this crazy meat, and why can't we ever go? Where is it? And that kind of adds to the mystery and the fun of it. Man, did I never expect that to become something that's like 1,000 people strong now. To me, that shows like an awesome community spirit and effort of, hey, I want to see my friends and I want to hang out with them and I want to, you know, just do something simple like let's eat some food. You know, it's not at the con. There's no crazy music. It's just a barbecue.
Ever since I was in town around DEF CON 10, 11, you see those signs in the airport, come shoot a machine gun, which, you know, it's fine for me, I've done, but a lot of my friends said, man, I'd love to do that. I said, let's just go out in the desert, I'm sure we can find a nice group rate, and we'll shoot out in a sand pit. And everyone had a blast, and they said, boy, are you gonna do, this was great, you're gonna do this again? So now there's just this well-known public shooting spot way out on the Lovell Canyon Road outside of the city, where anyone can go, anyone can shoot what they want as long as they police up the area, and we use it. And it's again, much like DEF CON itself, you keep getting popular and growing. Now we have canopies and tables rented that I arrange. There's a small per head fee just to cover that. We had 100 people on the line last year. We've got damn near that many registered this year. We're gonna stay safe and see what we can make happen. Can everyone hear me over the reports over the berm?
Yes.
All right. All firearms are always what? Loaded. They are always loaded. Nothing is ever an unloaded firearm. You always point the firearm where? Safe direction. In a safe direction. Yes, the key point, not just being your target, but what is beyond it. The hacker community, you can never put a single hat on anybody, but there's a libertarian undercurrent to a lot of our membership. So being able to just treat guns as, well, that's this piece of equipment. If you use it the right way, it's great. It percolates through most minds. So you get the occasional raised eyebrow, but half the time that's the person who's like, I'm gonna go see exactly what you think is so fun. And they're out there shooting a cannon or an automatic rifle, and they say, boy, I get this.
Come on in.
I think it was the year when I was at the Aladdin, and we'd forgotten to sort of clean up our room, or we didn't think that the maid was going to show up as early as they did. And, we'd gone off to breakfast, and we came back, and the maid had been in the room and cleaned the room and organized all of the drugs. So there was like a little pile of acid and a little pile of ecstasy and some other pills. And they're all nice, neat little piles. I was like, huh, well, I guess things are different in Las Vegas.
You've got to put the convention in a 24-hour city. It's got to be like a New York or a Vegas or maybe a San Francisco, because hackers get bored and there's got to be something for them to do. And I saw what happened when there's a lot of bored hackers running around.
A lot of activities in the computer underground would happen after midnight. That's just the way it is. So, the fact that people can move around and not be noticed as much, being a group moving around at midnight, that kind of added to the appeal.
And I'm big on privacy. Nevada still respects people's personal privacy. Your hotel room is considered your domicile.
It sounded fun. Just a bunch of computer people, right? I mean, it just seemed like my group was in Vegas, and it sounded like a really, really fun time. So, and the whole underworld connotation of it all was very attractive to me.
So I feel like there's going to be a streamline of people like really dedicated. Like, we're going to be first in line. We're going to be first in line.
I want to make sure I get a badge. Like, that was my biggest concern. It's my first DEF CON, and I want to make sure I walk away with a badge.
We're all DEF CON virgins. We got to pop that DEF CON cherry and get those badges.
And how many hours do you have to go before you get your badge?
I think it's 9 hours now.
Right there. In the morning? Well, in the morning, nothing's really going on until DEF CON 101 talk. What was that, 1:30?
You have $20.
Okay. So, you got $20 plus $20 stuff for you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, we drink.
Good.
What are we drinking?
Stop recording, please.
We got pizza. Pizza is good.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Alright.
The jet lag is sunk in.
Looks like he's using a pizza box for a pillow.
We will not abandon our posts.
This is my first DEF CON badge.
Now, what made you decide you were going to come to DEF CON?
My husband's work decided to send him, and I started going through all of the videos that they had for DEF CON 19. And I started looking at that and going, ooh, this is really cool.
20th DEF CON. Been wanting to do it for years, and it was just one of those things that just sort of lined up. All the moons lined up perfectly.
Definitely heard a lot about the con. It's a somewhat affordable con, and there's lots of technical discussions.
A whole bunch of really smart people that probably know more than I do, most of them. So I hope to learn something.
You know, the opportunity to hang out with those people that really know what's going on was, you know, too enticing to miss out on.
And I thought this would be an amazing place to just meet really intelligent people. So now I'm here, and I'm really excited.
To meet a lot of interesting people and learn a lot, have a lot of fun at once. It's kind of, you know, a big congregation where people that pretty much live anonymously online get to actually socialize in person and kind of not have to worry about as much, you know, revealing their identity.
Well, I've read all kinds of dire warnings about using anything here that's potentially hackable, and nearly anything's hackable, so.
I was told to take the battery out of my phone. Just
You know, I've got a checklist sort of in my mind. You know, kilt, colored hair. Drinking before 10 a.m. I haven't seen quite just yet.
Every single device in the world has some kind of computer in it, and they all have vulnerabilities in one way or another, and this is an information of what those vulnerabilities could be and how to fix them and make them better and improve it for the future.
Are you the teacher?
Yes.
You are the teacher. And this is your first DEF CON?
Yes.
And you thought to take a pack of neophyte students into Las Vegas to go to a hacking conference?
Yes.
Yes. Do you have tenure?
Rule number 1, follow the 3-2-1 rule daily. And please bear in mind these are minimums. At a minimum, 3 hours of sleep, 2 meals, 1 shower. By tomorrow afternoon, the pungent and stank aroma of many DEF CON attendees will waft through the air and hit you like a Mack truck. So remember, you plus deodorant equals everybody wins. I, like many people here, will not remember your real name. There are lots of Steves, Jeffs, Chris's, and Bills, but only one, maybe two with your unique handle. Hopefully you've picked a good and unique handle to avoid conflicts in the namespace. Create a good handle for yourself before someone creates it for you.
So I've got questions. Who here is from other countries? Wow. That's impressive. Thank you for coming all the way to join us, you guys. That's awesome that you came out. DEF CON is truly an event and a conference where you get out what you put into it. DEF CON is the one time a year where everything that we do year-round actually becomes physical. All these people that you've met in IRC, all these people you've been chatting to, all these people you've been reading their research, following their work, looking at the different things they're publishing, they're here. Walk up to them, tell them that you like their work, buy them a beer. They'll probably be your best friend. It's one of the biggest things about this crowd you've got to really swallow is the fact we are all super, super approachable.
You can be a wallflower here and still get a lot out of it, but you're not going to get your $200 worth, frankly. You're going to have to interact, work with people, get to know people, go party with people.
If you don't know something, be proud of that. Be like, I don't know this. Can you please teach me? Can you please educate me and train me? This crowd loves spinning people up. Take the time to go in and learn from these people. They're geniuses, truly geniuses, and some of the best in the world in whatever it is that they're presenting or working with. So take advantage of it, you guys, okay?
All right, the next rule is one that basically says, the media is not your friend. Don't trust them.
What do you think is the number one thing people misunderstand when they show up to DEF CON?
That it's a den of illegal activity and you're going to come learn how to do really neat, illegal black hat. Going to get in trouble if the FBI shows up at your door, and you should show up with your ski mask on just so no one can know your identity. Yeah.
What is it actually then?
It's a publicly funded private party for a bunch of really cool people.
Yeah, our reputation is, it's out there, but people are proud of it, and I'm probably the only one who tries to go around and go, yeah, it wasn't quite like that. It's sort of like this. I don't think people understand how much goes in to creating a show of this size.
DEF CON looks like this big amorphous jellyfish of people everywhere, but what I hadn't realized is that there's really a lot of stuff that goes on the back end to keep it running like clockwork.
That's what makes DEF CON so exciting. It's super organic is the way I see it. If you're inflexible, it doesn't work with DEF CON because there's too many people and you'll just break, and that's just the reality of it.
I always joke that for me, it's an opportunity to spend 4 days out of the year not caring about computers or computer security.
Everybody's Christmas, New Year's, birthday, anniversary wrapped up into one for hackers.
It's an experience that's not like anything that anybody has described because it's kind of something you can make what you want out of it.
Like, you can show up and you can just go to talks and you can sit there and get that out of the conference. Or you can show up and just party. You can show up and hang out in your hotel room with a bunch of friends. When it comes down to it, like, you're the driver of the experience. It's not a pony show where you can just, sit down in a seat and let it unfold before you. The more active you become inside the con, the more fun you can have.
For me, I think it's more social.
Mainly for me, it's just a lot of close friends that I get to meet once a year because of the diversity of where they all live in the United States. So this is kind of like a meeting point.
Go out there, be social, just run into people and say hi, and just strike up conversation because you will meet interesting people here.
It's fantastic. Everybody's friendly. I can sit down, talk to anybody, and I just ask them, what do you do? And they're happy to tell me about what kind of employment they do or the hobbies that they're in, and just striking up conversations. That's my personal favorite.
It's a combination of the people who I run into at DEF CON and just sort of the atmosphere. It's like a giant party that doesn't want to end, but there's a lot of really smart people in one place, and it's just, there's really no other place like it.
The first qualification, if you will, to be a vendor at DEF CON is how are you providing back to the hacker community at large? A lot of money goes through there. It's kind of staggering. One thing that we try and do is most of these guys, most of the vendors, if you walk around that room, this isn't their primary business. These are people that are in the community. You'll take a look at these guys. They're only doing this time of year, and it's only to provide something to the community that they think is neat. Those kind of folks definitely get a priority when I'm looking through applications.
Well, it looks like you're doing things right.
Okay, is this on?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay, so what I've tried to do with the whole hacking community is raise the level of discourse. Like, that's the thing, is like to bring information, make it accessible and widely dispersed at a reasonable price and make people happy. And if I put a smile on their face, it's like, wow, really? That's a great price and I get that too? Yeah, that's good. I don't need every last dollar. You know, what are you going to do with dollars anyway? They're just numbers.
Our main job actually is to create mayhem. That's actually what we've been asked by the management, make sure that we create a lot of mayhem. We actually have official DEF CON 8 posters from years ago that we found. So we're not selling them, we're giving them away, but you have to convince us to give you one. And that requires mayhem in the dealer's room of some sort that we don't officially support, but for some reason they end up with a poster. Who knew, right?
We are SimpleWiFi.com. We are long-range wireless made easy. We custom make all of our antennas in Miami, Florida. So if you want to go creating a hotspot and turning around your whole neighborhood, or you have that guy with unfortunately has an open signal, you don't want to pay for Wi-Fi, you can send your antenna pointing right at it, grab that signal, and you have internet for free.
The people that want something one year that you didn't bring invariably won't want it next year. It's like, you know, everyone wanted network cables, or everyone wanted PIN card readers, or prox card readers, or magstripe reader encoder decoders. You know, it varies every year. And then, you know, everyone that like leaves something behind, like, we need a hub, and it's like, okay.
I only have 53 tables total that can be sold. Some vendors are getting 2, some vendors are getting 3. So you have to decide what's going to actually provide the most benefit to the attendees. What are they actually going to want to buy? And we certainly have made mistakes in the past. For one thing, I mean, used to it, we shouldn't have even called it the vendor area. There were a couple of years, and I can't blame anybody but myself for this, where it should have been called the buy your t-shirts room. The only thing that was for sale in there was t-shirts. You know, you had like 2 hardware vendors and 33 t-shirt vendors. Hackers love their t-shirts. I think, I mean, in a weird way, it's like a way to kind of express your identity. I think we all do that through our shirts. It's a way when you're walking down the hall at DEF CON or any other conference or at work or wherever, for people to kind of get an idea of who you are. So yeah, I mean, the t-shirt aspect of it is certainly important.
But this is one place where I can wear all my t-shirts.
And people will know what it is.
Yeah, people get it.
There's something about that, like, cinematic hacker that's both goofy and inspiring, and like, I still play up, there's this mystery around it, oh, spooky hackers, and there's like this dark side to it, and I think I still play that up in the art. that I'm still intrigued. I still don't know all of what's going on. Like, I'm a maker, I'm not a hacker.
So I was a goon the first year, and they stuck me in the info booth, and then about halfway through the first day, Russ came over first and said, hey, I want you to draw on my badge. We had great big badges that year that Joe Grand did, and so I drew on it, and then Pyro came over and said, hey, draw on my badge, and then in about 10 minutes there was this line out the door of people like, draw on my badge, and so Russ came up with the idea, well, if you're gonna draw on the badge, why don't you make them give $5 to EFF for every badge you draw on? And raising money, so like laptop, I'd charge $20 for EFF, and then it ended up with a pile of money for EFF like the first year. And so then the second year they said, you're not going to be in the info booth, you're going to have a booth and sell art and draw on things for people to raise money for EFF, and that's how that took off. So.
You have to believe in what you're doing, and you have to believe that whatever you have is the hottest, coolest, newest, best thing. And that if you have any shred of doubt about what you're presenting, or if your heart's not 100% into it, the audience is going to pick up on that right away and tune out. That's the thing. I think the BS filter here at DEF CON is very, very strong.
I think the talks and the speeches are absolutely important because it gives the world an opportunity for a very inexpensive price to be able to go learn from the absolute best in the world in this industry about the absolute bleeding cutting edge of technology.
It was between 300 and 400 submissions that came in for people that wanted to speak at DEF CON this year. Yeah, it was a rough year just because of the number of quality submissions. And there were some that any other year absolutely would have been accepted. But I think because this is the 20th DEF CON, and it's because people want to be a part of DEF CON 20, we got so many more submissions and so many more quality submissions.
I mean, DEF CON speakers are all different types, especially this year. You have, you have generals and you have 15-year-old kids, all of whom have something different to contribute. There's no really one thing that you can say that unites a DEF CON speaker except for their desire to present their ideas to an audience.
And we've got a really cool VIP this year. Yep. Really cool. They better show up.
The big celebrity speaker VIP for this year at DEF CON, the director of the NSA and director of Cyber Command, General Alexander. We've been trying to get somebody from the NSA high level to speak for 10 years. And it just so happens that we finally get somebody, and it just happens to be our 20th year anniversary. So the timing just works out really well. And I know people are going to get all bent and not over it. It's going to be like the love-hate relationship. They're also going to really be interested in what he has to say, and at the same time be really fearful of the NSA.
It's a milestone to see someone of his position and level come here and speak about security and hackers and those types of things.
Jeff Moss made a valid call, and he kind of said, look, we have to interact with these people, We have the technical skills and they're the ones calling the shots, so we've got to interact with them, and at the end of the day, we've got to educate them,
Hello, DEF CON! Something I try to do with DEF CON is I want to expose you guys from the very first DEF CON to people you don't normally see, like I'm sure you guys just don't hang out and have coffee with the general, and neither do I. So to me, it's really eye-opening to understand, the world from their view.
Having the NSA here was a great unveiling of the support and I think a little bit of appreciation by the government towards our community now, and a little bit more understanding of the work we do. and the actual end goals that we're trying to accomplish here.
Thanks. Honor to be here. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. You know, one of the things I want to talk about is the freedom domain, the internet, and what we can all do to work on this. And so I've got about 6 hours of presentation and slides that we'll cut down to some meaningful time for you.
I think it's amazing, and DT wouldn't believe you if you could go back in time and tell him 20 years from now you're going to have an NSA general here talking to the group sort of as an ally.
Seeing people like General Alexander come down and meet with us hackers, it's just amazing. I've been in the hacking scene for over 25 years now, and I remember the days when we were just considered criminals that no one wanted to integrate with. They didn't understand how a hacking ethos could be applied to things that weren't illegal. And now, this completely legitimizes what we're doing. People want to see what we're doing, they want to hear about what we're doing, and they're realizing that we have a role to play in keeping the world's infrastructure safe and keeping the government safe. That's awesome.
And there's a lot of things that are going on here. We can sit on the sidelines and let others who don't understand this space tell us what they're going to do, or we can help by educating and informing them on the best strategy forward that benefits all of us and our nation. And that's the real reason that I came here, to solicit your support.
But on the other side, we also have super privacy advocates. You know, the EFF is going to be right there next to them, and they're probably in a constant lawsuit with the NSA. You know, so try to represent both sides.
I mean, they're the ones that have been out there and helping when people try and do crazy laws that you know, they don't really understand the implications of. You know, the EFF will step up and try and, you know, right the ship and make things good for everyone, and we like to support them.
And what I'm trying to do when I have these speakers is I'm trying to expose the audience to people they wouldn't normally come in contact with. It's not just always fun and games hacking a system. There's a bigger world out there, and you're playing a part in it, and a very important part. And if I didn't, I kind of think I'd be doing a disservice. It would be sort of like intentionally, I don't know, not aiming as high. So if you don't like that speaker, don't go to that talk.
And I think when you bring in not only our great talent here, but those of our allies, I think that's absolutely superb. All right, that brings this session to a close, so let's have a round of applause for General Alexander.
I think that contests and events is very key because it's one of the things that you find if you go to a lot of different conferences, especially in the security arena, it's very boring. Usually you're sitting around at a bar getting really, really drunk with a bunch of friends and going to a couple talks that you're interested in seeing, but overall it's a lot of looking for something to do. We've just grown to where now I believe that I'm managing about 50 events and contests throughout DEF CON 20.
What's going on? Not much, just cutting some mohawks.
It just started out as shenanigans with like drunk people in bathrooms at DEF CON. But people started giving us money. I started telling them to donate to the EFF, and so people told me that I should make it official because it became tradition. Last year we raised about $4 grand total for EFF, Hackers for Charity, and other hacker spaces around the country.
I've been growing my hair out for 2 years. It was difficult for the girl because she's about this tall and she had to stand up on a chair to actually finish it all.
This year we have a goal because last year he shook on it. DT will be getting a mohawk this year if he likes it or not.
I've been playing Hack Fortress, which is an amazing competition. It's one of the highlights at DEF CON for me. Essentially, we have a team of 6 game players who play Team Fortress, really how it was meant to be played, medic, heavy, and they try and capture points. We as the hacking team, essentially we're doing hacking challenges, cryptography, forensics, physical challenges, social engineering, information gathering, and that gives our team benefits. So it might light the other team on fire. It might make everything our team shoots a critical hit. So it's this really cool combination of both gaming and hacking, which is awesome.
Now you've got an objective here. You've got a 3-person team, and you have to infiltrate this office, steal a lot of information, and get back out again in 15 minutes.
But it's a penetration and data exfiltration job. So team-based people will penetrate into a virtual office, and we're framing out the walls and everything. You'll have to pick in. Once you're in, a team of people then can try to get documents, which you don't just, unlock a lock. You have to spread them out, legibly photograph them, put them back where you found them. I think we're including now, there's a smartphone, like an Android phone, so you have to hold it up just right, and maybe you see the pattern, you swipe it out, and you get some contacts. So I have this computer running Windows 3.1.1. So I'm watching people trying to fumble their way through Windows File Manager looking for data, but the really key thing is if you can unlock the computer where it's chained up, can you get the whole computer out of the office? And can you do it without powering it off? So we are hot-jacking into the wires, splicing in a UPS, using a tool that feds use called a hot plug to transfer the switching of the power on a whim. But a lot of people, mad dash, half Tiger Team, half Marx Brothers movie, running around this office, getting everything, getting out clean, locking it up after themselves. Yeah, I can see a lot of us who used to be the guy who would maybe get drunk and worry about being arrested. Now we all have jobs where we do this professionally and get paid for it.
Reset, so we'll score.
All right, we are ready to begin, everyone. We're going to do science over here. We're going to do less science over there. These teams are tasked with cooling a beer to exactly 42 degrees, which is ridiculous. But people came through. People came through in amazing ways that I never expected. This year, I took away all the restrictions about what you can and can't do. And I said, you have to get it to exactly 42 degrees. Time! And this last minute entry, Team Ice, Not Science, if I remember the name right, hit it, exactly. And it was a fantastic success in the end.
This is Shiznez live from DEF CON in the beautiful city of Las Vegas. Behind me you can see the skyline. It's a rooftop! Look, it's a rooftop! Over to your right, if Dave can get it. There we go. There's the mountains. There's the Alexis Park.
Alexis Park is part of the DEF CON legend. It definitely, it's probably the closest thing DEF CON has to a home.
I know, I wish it was still at the Alexis Park.
There was a long period of time that I associate with Alexis Park. We were there for a long time, 6 or 7 years.
I mean, we had the whole property, you could hang out by the pool.
This is some horrible 70s, like apartment building laid out rows and rows of these hotel rooms with pools and grass areas down the middle.
It's like multiple pools that we could just party at all night.
If you don't know what Pool 2 means, if you don't know what Pool 3 means, you weren't there. I mean, there's some really ridiculous stuff went on.
Pool 2 and Pool 3 were just sort of like these nexuses of activity and energy. You could be guaranteed to find something going on at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., all the way to, the sunrise.
And we had folks that were underage, and we had folks that were overage, and everyone was not sober and doing their thing. And
I was told at one point that at the Alexis Park, we did enough business in alcohol sales that equaled about 4 months of their normal alcohol sales.
And you talk about debauchery. The AP was where true debauchery at DEF CON occurred.
And at the time, the hotel owners, they were all right. They were all right. They had the attitude of, you know what, you can trash our hotel if you want. You can pay for it. But you're going to, but at the end of the day, we'll take your money.
They weren't as concerned about the lights around the pool getting destroyed and things of that nature, so it was a little bit easier to deal with destruction in that way.
I go to check in, and they hand me a list with check-in. They're like, okay, let me explain this to you. And it's a list of all of the objects in your room at the Alexis Park with a dollar amount next to it. If you would like to destroy this object in your room, this is how much it will cost you.
You could just get insane and you weren't waking anyone up. You didn't have to worry about security coming and telling you to stop doing something because usually you were doing it to somebody who wanted you to.
The Alexis Park, we were much more hands-on because they didn't have the security staff that a casino does.
So I was arrested at DEF CON in 2002 by the hotel security guards, but I don't know who ordered it. I guess a goon, probably Priest, ordered it, and I ended up in the Alexis Park jail, which was very roomy. It was kind of a Bacchanalian Mediterranean motif. There were like grape leaves on the walls and things like that. There was no bars or anything like that.
And since it was a non-gambling hotel, you could do whatever you want wherever you wanted because you didn't have to be an adult.
You used to make an announcement at DEF CON that so-and-so's parents are looking for their runaway child, who was 17 and was off at the con.
It was a different experience. Everybody says, I wish it was the Alexis Park again. Oh, I wish we were back at the Alexis Park. Honestly, I do too. I really like the environment, the pool parties, the open atmosphere. We had the whole hotel. But then everybody forgets that, oh, the lines are ridiculous. Oh, the rooms were overcrowded. Oh, I couldn't do anything. It was awful.
There was no room for speaking. I mean, people would make t-shirts about how terrible it was to get into the tent in the parking lot.
So it's better. It's more organized. But yeah, it's a little different. I wouldn't go back.
For us to go back there now, we would have to cut this conference by 2/3. And nostalgically, yes, I look back on that time and it was a great time. But we need a venue of the size of the Rio now to support the size that we've become.
But that's probably the time when things seem to settle in that, we've got something going here and it's probably going to continue for a while.
Well, that's one of the things. I mean, obviously the Alexis Park is near and dear to a lot of people because this is, how many years have we been away from the Alexis Park? And still, every year, somebody drives over there, walks into the front of the hotel, and steals the giant floor mat in the front and brings it back to con.
A conference badge has 3 purposes. The first purpose is to show that you've paid for the conference. It's a security token. Number 2, it sets the level of your security when you're within the conference. Third, I wanted the badges that I created to be something that helped brought people together. I intentionally designed the badges to cause people to have to look at each other and talk to each other. To get to know somebody that they might not otherwise have known. It really is the interaction with the other people at DEF CON that makes DEF CON what it is. It's not oh, I have this uber awesome electronic circuit badge that does such and such. It's the people wearing the badge that matter. And I think a lot of people miss that.
The years where we've had an electronic badge, people show up wanting to do something with this awesome little piece of tech that they were just given for their entry fee.
This is this is like an open badge solder session. We're helping people complete adding the connectors to their badges. We're not doing it for them, we're assisting them and letting them do it themselves, because that way they learn how to solder. So far, no one's done anything that hasn't been able to be fixed. So it's more of a just learning and community learning project, I guess, of just doing the badges.
Yes, first DEF CON, first time soldering. A lot of firsts this weekend.
I really like to help other people just get better at what they do, or to find an inspiration, something they're passionate about. And I like to help them progress along that path.
Pretty much 90% of the people here have never soldered in their life. This is their first time, and that's the goal. It's people introduce people. Hey, it's not that scary. It's okay. We're here to guide you, and maybe you'll do it in the future. If not, you know you've done it. So it's one of those skills you'll have.
I know a lot of guys who are like collecting badge firmwares and flashing stuff and have no idea what they're supposed to be solving.
Usually the only people who are really getting it are sequestered in their hotel room, just going crazy on it.
There's some people that counterfeit the badges every year. And we try to make the badges hard to counterfeit. And there's some people that spend a lot of time counterfeiting the badges. And I think that's cool. If you can counterfeit the badge and you can get past the guards repeatedly, good for you. You probably deserve to get in, right? That's what a hacking convention is all about. If you're good enough to fool everybody, you put more energy into hacking that badge than we did probably in producing it. So good for you.
They had the smiley face, skull and crossbones, the basic logo for the con. And I think their first design flaw was same PCB board, different colors. So you had people that went out and spray painted them and things like that. Well, the absolute worst thing to do is to step into the goon sock with your cute little red badge and claim that you're a goon, because we all know who we are. And once the door closes, you're ours.
And so it was a space where I felt more at home, where I didn't have to explain anything to anybody than any other context I'd ever been in. Real hackers are incredible. They take nothing for granted, and they look at things to see how they can be combined to make something new. And hackers really have an interesting, innovative, creative way, the best of them, of looking at all sorts of problems that a normal person wouldn't know how to do. And being fearless in the face of ambiguity, holding multiple representations of reality simultaneously in your mind, even though they may be contradictory and conflicting, and holding them there lightly while you explore which ones are best fit for now to the sensory data society. Feynman, great physicist, he said, the interesting fact is the anomalous fact. Emphasize both fact and anomaly, because it says there's a whole cornerstone here of another way of looking at things that we're missing. Well, that's what hackers are looking for, and that's why I've taken to it so, because the edge where new realities are appearing and normals don't see them at first, but hackers are looking for them. They're kind of the little homunculus inside the machine. When I come here, I don't have to explain anything to anybody. I don't have to back up and explain my point of view or my point of reference or why I said what I said or what was ironic or what was meant straight up, because people just kind of get it. And that's a terrific thing.
Probably our signature event is Capture the Flag. When you go to DEF CON and walk through the Capture the Flag area, you're seeing some of the best teams that are out there.
Where this is the Wimbledon, this is the place around the world where it all comes together. What strikes me isn't even in the room, it's the fact that there were a couple thousand people competing around the world to get into that room.
Some of those guys who travel from like South Korea or the Middle East to do the CTF, they came thousands of miles and are not going to sleep for 3 days to participate in one game at one event that happens once a year. And that's what amazes me.
It's about a bunch of different teams getting together on a big network trying to steal each other's stuff, in essence. So
it's worth coming once to see it.
Capture the Flag has been there since the beginning, and really from a hacker perspective is the type of thing of what you think of, hey, how do I take over this guy's computer?
Don't miss any con where you can sit down on the laptop and make the network work and start breaking things.
So Crash and Compile is a programming contest crossed with a drinking game. What can possibly go wrong? If you're familiar with ACM-style programming contests, you're given a challenge, a word problem. You know, write a program that takes this kind of input and generates that kind of output. Some arbitrary word problem. And you start coding. You're coding along, and then you say, I think I'm gonna test something, and you try to compile it. And it doesn't compile, you take a drink. If it compiles but doesn't run, you take a drink. If it runs but doesn't produce the right output, you take a drink. Okay, you can see how this can degrade very quickly. After 45 minutes, any points that are not awarded, or that have not already been awarded to competing teams, gets awarded to Team Distraction. The team with the most points at the end of the night goes home with a black badge. No, Team Distraction does not qualify for a black badge, unfortunately.
And you're coding?
No, I am part of Team Distraction, which we try. Our actual first goal is to make sure that they get enough water and they don't drink too much. But then of course we have to distract them from their coding and kind of like mess them up and just distract them a little.
Everyone have a beer? Yes. Yeah, let's rephrase that. Who doesn't have a beer? Are we there yet? We're there. Okay. Any other questions? No? Great. Let's go program.
Gotta energize the crowd. I gotta set the pace, set the tone. And then I have to say something outrageous pretty damn quickly. Gotta insult somebody quickly. The show's begun and I'm not really aware of much of anything else for the next couple of hours. I want the audience engaged within 10-15 seconds. I want to have that dialogue.
Copyright lawyers mean this. by IP. Win or lose.
What is intellectual property?
What is intellectual property is correct.
You can piss this crowd off very easily. So you get your feedback very, very quickly as to whether you're doing a good job or a bad job. Jeff and I had talked, and he says, I really want to notch up the 20th. I want to go up with a bang, and I want to do all these crazy things. And it was cool.
The final category is beer. Oh, thank God.
I think that this audience probably 50% bigger than last year. So that would put that crowd, I'm guessing, in the 2,500 range, something like that. But this one was